Okay, so Alhamdulillah, may Allah ease the presentation today and also ease the participants' understanding on the topic that we are going to go through for this roughly about 2 hours on the aspects of teaching portfolio, documenting your journey as an educator. So before this, may I know if you can assist me by putting up inside the chat, how many of you this is your first time joining this? That means you didn't join the first part. So please put it in the chat so at least I know how many who attended this for the first this session for the first time. Okay, and the rest I assume that has already attended on the 1st of March. Okay, so what are we going to go through today? Okay, thank you very much for responding. Not the first time. Okay, for those of you who this session is the first time, and also for those who already attended last time, okay, this is what we are going to go through today for this second session. Now, I'm going to recap what we have gone through last 2 weeks regarding teaching portfolio, and then we're going to go to another part that is developing your teaching philosophy, which is the heart of your teaching portfolio, because anything that you do after this on the that you put in the next topic all will be anchored to your teaching philosophy. So today we're going to go more detail on the teaching philosophy, where participants should be able to go through together with me, everybody, to develop your teaching philosophy. And then the third part, what I'm going to do is, thank you very much for those who contacted me. I have received several questions, so I will answer these questions to give a clear understanding regarding teaching portfolio. So this will be going to be on the third part. And the fourth part, supposingly, this part is where participant will share their teaching portfolio. But as I have understood from the Secretariat that this session is also open to everybody, so we'll see this, the fourth part, okay? So my plan is, we're going to go through this session for 2 hours, then we're going to end the session, maybe on the third hour. That means after the second hour, those who would have, or those who want me to have a look at the teaching portfolio, then you can wait so that we can see together regarding what you have done for your teaching portfolio. Okay, so this is what we're going to go through today. So let me recap first for about 15 to 20 minutes what we have been through. Okay, and again, at the end of this course, participants should be able to develop your teaching portfolio for teaching and learning development. And I also know that UUM has already created a platform, an for lecturers to develop their own e-portfolio, which is good. So hopefully after this, you'll be able to improve on what you have done in your e-portfolio. And second, compile all the related relevant supporting documents and evidence. So now when we have gone through the teaching philosophy, hopefully after this, what you have compiled, you can screen them and be more selective to pick up what are the evidence that you're going to put inside your teaching portfolio. Okay, just to recap, teaching portfolio is a CV. Okay, this is what we have gone through 2 weeks ago. So just to summarize this, it is actually a summary. Okay, when I mention summary here, it is not a simplified version of a CV, but summary in the context of you are not compiling everything that you did throughout the years of your teaching inside the portfolio. This is what it means by a summary. So, you know, I believe every lecturer, you have been teaching the whole year, and every semester you have a subject. So a teaching portfolio is not where, okay, this is what I do, this is the approach that I did for this semester, for this subject, so you dump in inside there. So the next semester, this is the subject, and you tell a story of what you did and how do you improve it, and then you put it inside. The next year, you have a subject, you compile it and put it inside there. So it is not a collection of your journey of your teaching, but it is a summary of what you do in your teaching that portrays your experience, your teaching and learning experience, your approach. Okay? You summarize, these are the approaches that I did throughout the years. So this is what it means by a summary. So it is not just a summary, a simple summary, but it's a collection of what you did to portray how do you teach and what are the achievements that you gain throughout the years of your teaching. So this, make sure that you are clear. It is not a compilation of all your teaching activities for throughout your years. Okay, so it is about storifying from the start of your journey. How do you start or you embark into teaching and learning, and where you are right now. So where you are can be anywhere. Okay, some of you who are in your first or second year as a lecturer, maybe you are starting here, or maybe you're already a teacher somewhere, and when you work in UUM, you're already somewhere here. So for some, you're already achieving this level. So it's about storifying your journey. So it contains all these elements. Okay, your philosophy, your strategy, improvement that you make, and the sharing of your practices that you did with others. Okay, in a simplified manner, it resides on 3 major core elements when you prepare your teaching portfolio. So the first thing is to tell people who you are as an educator. So for those of you who didn't follow the past session, okay, this is a summary of what the participant has gone through for the 3-hour session during the 1st of March, last 2 weeks. So when you document your journey, when you're preparing your teaching portfolio, it resides on these 3 elements. So who you are as a teacher. When people read your portfolio, they will know your philosophy. That means your belief, the value that you uphold, your goal that you try to attain in your teaching and learning, and the strategy that you apply. The next one, since you are a teacher, you teach, there must be a subject that you teach. So a list of your courses that you teach, students that you have supervised, it can be undergraduate students, postgraduate students, okay? So that to prove that, yes, I'm a teacher and I teach. So what subject do you teach? These are the subjects that I teach, and these are the students that I supervise. So that collection of evidence must be there in your teaching portfolio. Since you have your philosophy, you have your ways of teaching, you have your ways of doing things, and you apply it in a subject, you apply it in your supervision, the next thing people would want to know in your portfolio is, how do you teach? So this is where you explain the various teaching delivery that you did, as well as the assessment that you do. Some may have created or innovated certain approach, okay, in their delivery. Some may develop innovation or innovate their assessment. So this is where you tell the audience or the reader. Okay, for those of you who may not yet created or developed some approach or innovate some approach, maybe because you are in your early years as an academician. So this is where you highlight what are the common approaches that you do. Some of you, maybe you mentioned that, okay, I did active learning, where you use jigsaw, you use collaborative learning. How do you conduct them? So this is where you put it inside. Don't worry yet for those of you who are new in your career as an academician. Don't get worried if you don't have any innovation yet. Remember, this is a progress, this is a journey. Okay? Throughout your years, throughout your experience in your teaching, throughout the issues, the challenge that you get when you start to embark on your teaching and learning activities, then you start to face issues, challenges, and problems that leads you to be innovative. So don't compare yourself with others. The teaching portfolio, even though in certain cases it is a competition, like for example, if you are sending your teaching portfolio for award, okay, be it in the university or national award or international award, okay, but a teaching portfolio is a document of telling who you are as a teacher or as an educator. So don't get worried if you don't have anything, because some, when I give a talk, when they need to add in, they are worried because I don't have any innovation, I don't have any creativity. Well, you just started your journey. You just onboarding a ship, trying to drive the ship to a destination. So along the way, you will meet up with all the challenges. Then only you will start to create and be innovative. So then on, you will compile and you will document what you did inside your teaching portfolio. But most important thing is document what you do so that when you reflect back through the years of your teaching, you can start to see how you progress your career as in teaching and learning. Okay, so you have your belief, you have your ways, you have your style. You apply, implement them in a subject within the students. You have your ways of teaching, delivery, and assessment. Another thing that we want to know is, how does your student perform with your ways of teaching? So this is where you document the improvement that you can see in the students. It can be in the form of grades, okay, in the form of transformation. Just to share you what I mean by transformation, I've already mentioned transformation can be changes in behavior of the students. Your approach, okay, may not only improve the grades of the student, the attainment of the course learning outcome is better, but at the same time, it changes. Okay. Yesterday, I ended up my WhatsApp group. Today, I will start to remove the students in my WhatsApp group for the course that I taught last semester. So while I'm closing up, one student WhatsApp to me and telling me they are very grateful because he saw a transformation in which he became more confident. He is more brave to ask questions. He was more confident to give ideas compared to before undergoing my class last semester. So if you have like that, these are the evidence that you can keep. These are the changes that you can see. How, even though during pandemic, the student didn't come inside in the university, you are teaching them in staying in the house, but through your ways of delivery, you can see changes in the behavior happening to them. So these are the things that you can add up to show your accomplishment in your teaching and learning. Okay. Apart from that, maybe you have a certain approach that you do and you expect to see a certain changes in the motivation. So these are the things that you put up inside your portfolio. Apart from that, people might want to know how other people think about you. So the testimony, it can be the comment, the feedback that you get from the system. Maybe, last time I remember participant told me UUM also has a system where students can give comments and feedback, give marks to your teaching. Apart from that, your colleague giving you feedbacks and testimonial regarding your teaching and learning. So these are the things that people want to know. Okay, you have your ways, you teach, you have your approach, student improve, and how other people think about you. Apart from that, your self-improvement. You don't become expert just by sitting in a cave, okay, what we call that, bertapa, sitting slowly, and suddenly all the skills come inside and you can teach excellently. So for sure, there are trainings that you attend, workshops that you go to gain more knowledge and skills to improve on your teaching and learning. So that is also the information that you need to put inside your teaching portfolio, because it shows how you progress. How do you increase your knowledge, your skills, as well as your competency in teaching and learning? So these are the things. Do you share your knowledge? Do you share your teaching approach, okay, to others? This can be done through publication, presentation in seminars, or you have been invited as speaker. For example, I believe similar to UUM, in UMT, some of the faculties have already practiced a session where they invited their own faculty members, okay, once a month. Some faculty do once in a fortnight. Invited academicians, the faculty members, to share their teaching practices among the colleagues. So you can put it up, okay? If you don't publish it, if you are not presenting, you have not presented any papers regarding your teaching and learning, so maybe you can document if you have the chance to share with all your colleagues. Okay. If you have a blog, you created a blog where you share your approach. I know some of my colleagues share their approach in a Facebook, in the social media. This is what I do. This is the effects from the approach. So these are some of the evidence that you can put up to show the knowledge sharing that you have made regarding your teaching and learning. And finally, your recognition and leadership. So any awards that you receive, any appointment as a committee member, for example, okay, be it in your department or in the faculty, okay, or national committee or national event. So these are the things, to recap back what teaching portfolio is. So it contains all of this information as well as evidence that portrays you as a teacher or as an educator. And it is a journey because you will be compiling. When I say compiling, as again, don't get confused by compiling per semester or per year, but you are compiling your progress. How do you see from the earliest start of your career as an educator, and how do you progress? Okay, so we have shared last time why there is a need for a teaching portfolio. Apart from preparing your portfolio for award, it has several benefits. And we have gone through several types of teaching portfolio, but most of us generally will prepare a comprehensive teaching portfolio. I know last 2 weeks, some of the participants shared in the chat that they prepare in a course-based and they prepare in a theme-based portfolio. For those of you who didn't follow the first session, maybe I think the Secretariat has the recorded video to be shared to the to participants who this is your first time attending this session. Okay. And we have gone through last time the 6 topics for the content of developing your teaching portfolio. So I just browse through again, glance through. The first is your teaching philosophy, strategy in teaching supervision, your innovation and impact towards teaching and learning, the assessment, students' assessment, or if you have a system, some university, they have this, what we call as TEP, Teaching Enhancement Plan, where you have roughly about 360-degree assessment. Your colleagues assess you, your head of department assess you. If I'm not mistaken, you assess yourself and the student assess you. Okay, so this is one of the content, the topic. Improvement, trainings that you have conducted, and scholarship in teaching and learning, the sharing that you have made, awards that you have received, and any committee members that you have joined or being appointed. Okay, now we're going to go through the core aspects of this second part, which is to develop your teaching philosophy. Okay, now I'm going to explain to you about this, and then we're going to have a break. Break in the sense that you need to answer a few questions while answering that and giving you time so you can have a break for a while. Okay. Now, a teaching philosophy is a statement of who you are as a teacher. Generally, it resides in four common points. Your belief about teaching and learning. How do you see teaching and learning? Okay. Your goals. What are your goals, or what is your goal every time when you enter a class? Okay. The goal that you want to achieve every time you teach, and every time you deliver a lecture or an activity for your student learning. And then, how do you see yourself as a teacher? Do you see yourself as a content provider? Do you see yourself as a facilitator? Do you see yourself as a coach? You know, some educators or some lecturers, they use coaching method in teaching. Okay, they facilitate learning by coaching. There is a way. It may take some time. I've tried once, okay, and it took the students 2 days to have this. Normally in coaching, for those of you who are not familiar with coaching technique is such a way that you don't give answers to the student. You guide the student through your questioning, but what differentiates between mentoring and coaching is that there is an element of the student will have this the situation where they call it as, now I get it. So the now I get it is not true. They are getting it by you giving them answers to the question that they ask, but they found the answer themselves through the questioning that you ask them when they don't understand. The first thing they will ask you a question, doctor, I don't understand this. I cannot differentiate between this and this. Well, if you are doing a mentoring, you may be answering their question, okay, this is the difference. The difference, A is like this, B is like this. But coaching method is different from mentoring, where you don't give them direct answers. You question them back again, in which they try to answer the question by looking back, and they give you. Through this questioning, they will find that R factor in which you facilitate their learning. Well, to cut short, you can just give them the answers when they ask, there and then they get the answers. But coaching technique may take some time depending on the condition of the student. Some may get it fast, but once I've tried, some of the students took 2 days to get that R factor. But the joy of them having that R factor is very exciting, because they discovered and understand by themselves, but through your guidance, by the way you ask the questions to them. So you don't leave them, for example, okay, it's up to you, find the answers and tell me, but there is a way. So this is what it's meant, your role as a teacher. Are you a coach? Are you a facilitator? Are you a content provider? Okay? And your strategy. So this is what teaching philosophy is about when you put up. Okay? So it is narrative and non-technical. It can be 1 to 2 pages. There is no specific format, and it is more about telling a story. So you start by I believe, I think, I see, right? Now, these are some of examples of the way of writing teaching philosophy. Okay, some of the ways of writing in which you put up inside your teaching philosophy. Okay, and last session, I've provided this link for those of you who are using your computer or laptop, then you can use your phone to scan this. There's a website where I've given you. It contains a list of examples of teaching philosophy from various fields, engineering, science, social science, so that participants can have some overview on what or how people write teaching philosophy. Okay. Now, we are going to go to activity. We're going to have a break, but at the same time, a break for those of you who wants to maybe prepare your coffee, or you want to go to take a break to go to the restroom. But at the same time, we're going to take about 45 minutes, not 45 minutes break, but the activity will take about 45 minutes to prepare a teaching philosophy, okay, to develop your teaching philosophy. Okay. There are several questions that you need to answer. I'll try to see whether you prepare first. I'm trying to see whether is it suitable for me to prepare a Padlet and you try to write there, because I believe that not everybody willing to share. Maybe some of you are shy. Okay, some of you might want to share. So I will prepare in a various form. You can answer in a chat. Please do. You are most welcome to get involved. Put up in the chat. That's the simplest way. Okay. I will also prepare a Padlet afterwards. I'll give you the link. Those of you who want to share in the Padlet can do so. Okay. And also, if you want to explain to me orally, please unmute your mic afterwards and share with me and share with us, the participants, regarding this question. Now, the question is not the question, it's not the question that when you answer, this answer will be put inside your teaching philosophy. But what we are trying to do is, we are trying to guide everybody to reflect back, to dig yourself, to reflect on yourself, so that through these questioning activities, you will be able to understand yourself. What is your belief? What is your style? And why you do like that? Okay, from there, you will understand who you are when you teach. Okay, we hope that through this activity will assist participants in doing so. Okay, now the first question, we will take about 5 minutes. For those of you who already have a teaching philosophy, okay, you can exercise this or you can have a rest. For those of you who don't have a teaching philosophy yet, who is still currently trying to develop, okay, take your time to answer this. Question number 1, share with us, how do you teach? Okay, so how do you do it? How do you conduct your teaching? Okay, now it is very open-ended. If this is an exam, how am I going to answer this? It's very open. Okay, there are various ways of answering. Well, some points to assist you. You can tell, do you teach by giving lectures? Or do you teach by creating activities? You don't give lectures. Okay, I teach by having activities. Or I teach by mixing between lectures and activities. Or maybe some of you may teach by connecting to other things. Okay, when you teach, You don't give lectures, but you try to connect to others, for example, to the society, to the community, to the issues, or maybe to the outside world, to the real world. So when I list down all these things, this is not the answer that you give. I teach by lecturing. Elaborate, how do you teach? Okay, so reflect back. We'll take a break for about 5 minutes. Okay, we'll try to see first. Take a break about 5 minutes. Think about how you teach and write down the answer. And we see afterwards. So now it's already 9:45, 9:44. We are going to get back again at 9:50. Is it okay? So prepare this answer, and we see how we progress from here for this part 2, developing your teaching, documenting your journey as an educator. Okay, so I leave this, and we come back in 9:50, and we see the answer. In the meantime, if you want to answer them in the chat, please do so. I'll be creating the Padlet for a while, in a short while, and I'll be put up the link in the Padlet link in the chat. Okay.
Okay. Assalamualaikum. Dr. Shahriz,
Waalaikumsalam.
how are you?
Fine, fine.
So now it is break time?
We break just now. Now we are going to continue.
Okay, good.
Okay.
So, Alhamdulillah, you always talk in English, so therefore I am joining.
All right. Thank you very much for joining.
Yeah,
Okay, now
mashallah. Good. Hey, and then can we get your presentation file after finishing the
okay,
talk?
no problem.
This is actually good to help to everybody, you know, to increase or to update that philosophy of teaching.
All right. Glad
Thank
to
you.
hear about
They're
it.
really good. Thank you. Okay.
May I know your name? You are
Dr. Zainuddin.
Dr. Zainuddin. Okay.
Yes, from FTKKI, Uzbekistan.
FTKKI, is this from UMT or from UUM?
From UMT.
UMT. Oh, yeah. Sorry.
I got many, you know, advice from you long time ago.
Okay. Yes.
Dr. Zainuddin.
Thank you very much for joining.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Now
Listen.
let us see some of the answers that you put. Okay. I've seen some put inside the chat. Okay, let's just look at the chat. Okay, let me stop sharing the PowerPoint. I share this one, the Padlet. Okay. So we see here and also the chat. Okay. Some of you answered. Okay. Some of you mentioned that you teach by giving lectures. All right. Sorry, can all of you see the Padlet that I'm sharing? Okay. Thank you
Yes,
for
yes.
your response. Okay. Now, in the chat also some say mixed lectures and activities. Okay, sometimes mixed with surfing internet. This is in the chat. Okay, YouTube teaching video recorded. Okay. And most of you put here mixed lecture, tutorial, and activities. Okay. The next thing is, anybody would like to share, you can unmute or you can add up. Why do you give lectures? When I ask why, it's not to what we call that, to argue why you give lectures. No, but to understand why do you give lectures, okay, and why do you create activities? Answer that, okay, the why question. And if, for example, you give lectures, how do you give your lecture? That is the thing. Okay, Dr. Dennis also answered here. I lecture, flip class, okay, and project-based. No teaching method is silver bullet. Okay, the reason, no, thank you, Dr. Dennis. Yeah, Dr. Dennis has given the reason why he lecture. If you look in the chat, why he lecture, flip class, and do project-based. Because to him, no teaching method is a silver bullet. Okay, Dr. Dennis, can you progress with me? Okay, why do you think no teaching method is silver bullet? If you can add up and respond to my question, why do you think no teaching method is a silver bullet? Okay, anybody would like to share with me, for those of you put here lecture, why do you lecture and how do you give lecture? Okay, Students are not the same. You see, thank you. Students are not the same, and courses are not the same nature. So that means different student, different style. Okay, this is what Dr. Dennis believes. He believes that students are not the same. This is the reason why he do
Got it.
various methods, right? Okay, and even different courses. So he believes that different courses needs a different method. Am I right, Dr. Dennis, about what you are thinking? Okay, some yes. So when you start to reflect back on how you teach and answer the question why, then you start to notice you have a reason. And this reason is the starting point of how and what is your belief about teaching and learning. You do this because you believe this way. Okay, you believe that students are different. They are not the same. So you cannot use one method. Now, what I'm trying to highlight, because Dr. Dennis is responding to me in the chat, don't misunderstood that what I'm discussing with Dr. Dennis here, this is the best method. No. Everybody has their own belief, and this belief is the one that anchors your approach in teaching and learning. Okay, so I will be glad and appreciate if others would share with me so that we can dig up the belief that you have in relation to why you teach that way. So there's no right and wrong. Okay, don't feel awkward that, oh, in the midst of technology now, I'm giving lectures. No, because that is what you believe, and most important thing, your approach has proven to improve student performance. Last in 2019, 2 years back, when I attended a course in Kuala Lumpur regarding holistic assessment, as by a professor from Hong Kong University. She came here and I attended the course. She showed to us one video from YouTube, if I'm not mistaken. A professor sitting in front of a stage giving lectures to about 100 students. Okay, not having just giving lectures, but through questioning. And through this questioning, we can see how the class becomes so active, not active in the way that they are moving and running, but active thinking. He just started a class because he's teaching science, but he started a class by asking the student to decide. For example, if I can remember, I saw the professor sitting in behind the rostrum and asking like this. Imagine if you are driving a car at 60 miles per hour and suddenly your brake malfunction. In front of the road, there's a woman trying to cross, okay? And on the side, there's a tree. There's a big tree. So now, if you were to stop the car, which will you choose? Are you going to ram the woman in front of you, or are you going to hit the tree? Just by having that questioning activities, the professor managed to have an active learning engagement with the students for the whole hour, and you can see the student does not feel bored. So that's why I said what you do is based on what you believe, and it shows through the improvement of the student's learning. Okay, now Dr. Intan answered them. Giving lectures can stimulate students' involvement and motivation. So that is what she thinks and she believes. Lectures can stimulate students' involvement and motivation. Okay, while activity is to test their understanding. Right? Okay. Well, that is what you think. Thank you very much for your response, Dr. Intan. Well, the most important thing right now is answering the why question of why you choose the approach. Okay. Okay. Now, thank you for your response. We're going to go to the second question. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing this for a while. Okay. Let's share back this. Okay, sharing number 2. I will create the other column. Then you answer on the next column in the Padlet, or you can answer in the chat. When you conduct your class, how do you see your role as a teacher? Okay, you are giving lectures, some of you having activities. So while you are doing that, how do you see your role as a teacher? So answer that question. Let me put it up in the Padlet for a while. Okay. I'll give you about 5 minutes again. You can have a break. For those of you, you can take some time to reflect and answer in this one. And again, remember about answering why. Okay, this is your role, but why you see your role like that, like the one that you mentioned. Okay, we'll come back about in another about 10:10. Then we start to discuss about this. Okay, let us see for question number 2. Okay, why you conduct your class? Okay, when you conduct, how do you see your role as a teacher, educator, to share knowledge? Okay, participant post here as a collaborator. Okay, some says that they see themselves as a guide, a mentor, giving guidance. Okay, coach and facilitator, right? Facilitator, there's one here, in which active participation from student is needed so that the process of learning is comprehensive. Okay, now you see, this is what, okay, one of the participants' feedback. You can see here why the individual see himself or herself as a facilitator, because he believes that active participation from student is needed. That means in order for learning to happen, active participation from the student is needed. Student needs to be active, then only they will learn. So these are the points that you can pick up, okay, to reflect that how do you see things? What is your perspective about teaching and learning? So that is why these questions will assist you to dig out, okay, your belief, okay, your perspective, so that you are able to put up inside your teaching philosophy when you explain. Okay, some of you see as a friend and facilitator. Why? Why you see yourself, your role as a teacher, as a friend? There must be a reason why you see yourself as a friend to the student. So the answering of that why you see yourself as a friend, Dr. Muhammad Ali, okay, will reflect back how and what are the values that you hold when you teach. Okay? In lecture, explaining issues. Okay, that means you are trying to connect, promote, facilitate deeper understanding. So you are explaining the issues in order to connect them to a situation. So from there, you'll be able to understand more. Okay, Dr. Intan here, facilitator and friend. My role is to model my student as good broadcast practitioner. Okay, so Dr. Intan's role is to model, okay, so that to model the students so that they become good broadcast practitioner. She believes that in order to become good broadcast practitioner, there must be a certain ways that enables them to become that. And then you can, the next question that you can go deeper for this one is, why and how does playing that role can enable them to become good broadcast practitioner? There must be something that you believe by doing that, this is how the student can learn in order for them to become good broadcast practitioner. So we are trying to dig deeper from the statement that you make, Dr. Intan. You want them to become good broadcast practitioner. So in order for them to become good broadcast practitioner, your role is to be a facilitator and friend. Okay, that means you have in mind, in order for the student to be a good broadcast practitioner, there must be a way of learning to happen that makes you want to be a facilitator and friend. So the answering of the thing that I mentioned just now will assist you to understand from your perspective how does learning takes place? How students should learn? Okay, now you say that you are a facilitator and a friend, and you want them to be good broadcast practitioner. So what does this relation of becoming a facilitator and friend with the student to become good broadcast practitioner? So there is a link in between. There must be, in your perspective, how students should learn. Because of this, your belief of how students should learn makes you want to see yourself as a facilitator, and this is your aim. Your aim is for the student to become good broadcast practitioner. So try to fill up this gap. Okay, how you think students should learn in order to become good broadcast practitioner, and that is why you want to be a facilitator. So these are the things that you need to reflect. Thank you very much for your response, Dr. Intan. Okay. Again, to the others, why do you think becoming a facilitator will assist the student in their learning? So becoming a facilitator, there is a reason why you become like that. The reason that relates to the understanding of how students learn. Okay, now we go back to the third question. So what I'm trying to bring you is to the third question. I share back this one. The third question is, in your perspective, how do you see teaching and learning should be? Okay. And in your opinion, how students should learn in order to master your field of expertise or your course, and why? Okay, try to reflect back. Okay, now you see yourself as a facilitator. You teach by giving lectures. You teach through various ways. To some, like Dr. Andrew just now. To some of you, you mix. Okay, so you must have a reason, and you see your role. So, in your perspective, how do you see teaching and learning should be? The second one, you are teaching a subject. So based on your opinion, how students should learn? Okay, based on your opinion, this is not where an open-ended question where you Google to find the best approach. This is the purpose is to dig deep on trying to understand yourself. Now I know why I teach this way, because you have a certain belief. You believe that this is the way students should learn. This is the way that student will understand. Because of that is the reason why you created a certain approach. Okay? So if you understand the question, you can start to answer on the third column. Okay, for those of you, if you are confused with the question, feel free to ask me. You can unmute or you can put that in the chat. So again, I give you another 5 minutes. We'll meet again about 10:25, okay, to discuss your answers. All right? Okay, so now let us get back. Do you need more time? Should we wait, give a few more minutes before we discuss? Maybe we give, some of you have answered. Maybe we give until 10:30, and then we start to discuss about the answers that you have given. Okay. Okay, we can see some of you have already putting up. Okay, give you another 1 to 2 minutes. Maybe some of you still need to think, but it's okay. Afterward, we'll start to discuss. Thank you very much again for responding to the answer. Okay. While I'm explaining this, for those of you who still preparing or answering, please do so. No problem. You can even still take your time to answer the first and second question. Okay, we'll go bit by bit. And again, to recap, the purpose is not to find the best teaching method, but the purpose of the question is to enable us, one, to reflect on ourselves, on our teaching. Two, I use the term to dig out our belief, because when we start to answer the question, then we will start to find the answer why. And after we explain to answer the why, there will be another why, just like a few examples that I've given just now. So from then on, you will start to see yourself and understand about how do you see teaching and learning, what are the value, or what is the value, or what are the values that you uphold when you conduct your teaching and learning. So to go through, number one, some of you give lectures, some mix, okay, some has a varieties. Number two, you see yourself, some of them see as a friend, a facilitator, some as a lecturer to explain. That means they are the ones that is responsible to provide the knowledge. Okay, again, don't get confused or misunderstand. This is not to compare who is better, who is not, but just to reflect on yourself. Okay, the question number 3. You refresh. Okay, we'll try to see question number 3. So question number 3. Okay, the question is about how do you see teaching and learning, and in your opinion, how students should learn in order to master your field. So one participant said, as a facilitator, students should learn by doing. You see, the person believes that students learn by doing. That is what you believe. And that is why you see yourself as a facilitator. And apart from maybe giving lectures, you do activities. You do activities because you believe that students learn by doing. So that is how we pick up what your belief. Students learn about identification of hazard, asking the student to take photos of unsafe condition. That is where they learn, because they try to find out which area is unsafe. So the activity of finding the areas will allow them to learn. Okay, why the person using that approach? Because of he or her belief that students learn by doing. This may be different from another colleague of yours who may think that students learn through explanation by lectures. Okay, there's nothing wrong. That is what another person's belief. He believes that knowledge, when being explained very well, will be acquired effectively by the student. That is what the other person's belief. Again, there's no right and wrong. It's just about trying to understand why you do certain things this or that way. Okay, and then during face-to-face, student will be asked to explore the faculty in group. Okay, that means you are also asking them to do collaboration and group work and presented it to the class. Okay, Dr. Salmi, thank you very much. Now, the other one, less is more. Students learn better if they enjoy the journey. So that means, for sure, you are planning a certain design in which they need to go through. And you believe that by going through a certain process, they will learn more. Okay, that is how they learn. They need to embark on a journey. That means that journey involves a certain activities and process. Okay. Two-way interaction. We believe that students learn through two-way interaction, sharing opinion, experience, and discussion. Now, based on your perspective, this might be the reason why you created your delivery, your teaching and learning activity in such a way. Fun learning, of course. Some of them, they see learning should be fun. Students learn when they have fun. So that is why, in some cases, academicians prepare games. Some prepare certain activity that entice them to compete. Okay? Some likes to have an enjoyment. Okay? More practicals than theory. Okay. Why? Then again, you need to answer. Why more practicals than theory? Okay. The reason is to expose the students to the real views and experience. Again, doctor, the participant that answer this, to assist you, answer the next question. Why do you think exposing the students to the real views and experience would allow them to learn? So these are the things that can dig up and reflect on yourself. Okay, it's a good progress. And you are able to share with us. You believe that students learn through more practicals than theory. So you expose the student to the real views and experiences. Why? Okay, you can share it with us, or you can answer them by yourself. But through the answer that you give regarding why exposing the student can make them learn, this will assist you in understanding your belief of how students should learn. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we look at the chat. Okay, Dr. Dennis put up here, student will master their field by doing hands-on and mind-on, and also from the real practitioner, and apply their learning in the real world. So, sorry, to Dr. Dennis, student will learn more and do hands-on and mind-on, and connect to the real practitioner. So that is how he sees how students learn. Okay, maybe because of his field, his subject, his course. Okay, through his experience, he sees that students will be able to learn if they do like this. So from there, you can connect why you teach by having diverse activities. Okay, and you also know that there is no one silver bullet that can address all students. Okay, so that is one of your belief, and your own belief and also your understanding and perspective is student learns best when doing hands-on. So that is why I believe, Dr. Dennis, okay, apart from giving lectures, you also created various activities for them to master, because you believe that that is the way students should learn. Okay, Dr. Intan, it should be fun and engaging through practical session, one-to-one approach, and activities during lectures. Okay, now, let me see the question. I almost forgot. So you believe that you see that students learn through fun and engaging way. Okay, so when you put in your mind that this is the way you believe how students should learn, so you will realize that no wonder why I teach this way. Okay, I give you one example. There are some who sees that discipline is the only way for the student learn. They believe that student will learn through discipline, which is the other way around, right? There's nothing wrong with it. Okay. Or you might believe that being punctual, being attentive in class is the best way to learn. So this can be and might be the reason why a particular person teach this way compared to the other way, let's for example, having fun. Because of the belief, you will learn best if you are disciplined. So because of the values that the person hold, the belief in the discipline, that anchors the teaching and learning activities of the particular person to be, for example, if you come in late, the door will be locked. Okay? If you are late, you will be punished. So then you can see there is an alignment with behaviorism learning theories. People who uphold this generally will use these behaviorism learning theories. So now you can try to connect yourself. No wonder I apply these learning theories, because this is the belief that I uphold. Okay, then you start to see your philosophy in your teaching. Okay, now anybody else, you have any question before we go to the fourth question? Okay, and at the moment, is everybody doing fine? Okay, or anybody has lost because of the question that I give, and then totally you get lost? Okay, thank you very much. Now let us go to the fourth question. Okay, this sharing number 4 actually, yeah. Sharing number 4. If you are conducting a class, just now we go through how do you teach. You have shared with me and also the rest of the participant, and then you shared to us how do you see yourself, what is your role when you are handling a class, and number 3, your perspective of how students learn. So because of your perspective, that is why you created and you have a certain ways of teaching. Because of that, answer the next question. What is the approach that you will never do when you conduct your teaching and learning activities? Okay? What are the approaches, or what is the approach that you will never do? Okay? You will say that, pantang tok nenek aku, kan, over my dead body, I will never do this kind of activities or this approach if I am teaching. So what is the approach that you will never do, and why you will never do it? Okay, answer this question. Okay, I will copy this and I'll put it up in the Padlet. Okay, this one, I will share this. Okay, again, you can answer in the chat, and you can also answer in a Padlet. So we give another 5 minutes or so, try to reflect. We come back at about maybe 10:55, and then we will start to discuss. Okay. Okay. I give you a quiet moment so that you can think and reflect. Don't want to disturb you with my voice. So we meet up again about 10:55, okay? Okay, let's get back and see question number 4. So question number 4 is about what you will never do every time when you conduct your teaching and learning activity. Okay, I looked this in the Padlet before I go to the chat. Now, our doctor here mentioned never, okay, he or she will never go to another slide before they understand the current content. Okay, for him or her, they need to understand that content before learning another content. Okay, what can we pick up from here? What can we understand from our friend here, from our doctor here? You see, anybody would put inside the chat. This is a good reflection. Okay, you can see that the value of understanding. That is the reason why every time when our doctor here giving activities or lecture, he or she will never move to another side unless the student understands. Okay, so understanding is one of the value that this doctor upholds when he or she conduct teaching and learning. So that is the reason why he won't change to another part or to another topic unless the student understand. Okay. Why? Because understanding is the key value that our doctor here upholds. So these are the things that I would like to show to you. Through this question, we can pick up. Okay, if you maybe, for example, you yourself cannot see, your friend can understand more about you, or I can assist in grabbing what are the key elements about you regarding your philosophy in teaching and learning. Okay, so by doing this reflection, answering question, you will be able to see yourself. Okay, now we know that this doctor here upholds the value of understanding. So that is the reason why the slide will never move unless the student understands. Okay, that is the reason why our doctor here will never move the slide, things that will never be done during class. Okay, another one, student keep quiet and not answering the question. Then, again, doctor, if you are answering this, answer another question. Why? You don't want student to keep quiet and you don't want the student to not answer your question. So it relates to how do you perceive your teaching and learning. It relates to how you see students should learn. Okay? If your reason of why you don't want them to keep quiet and not answering a question because they learn best when they are engaged, they learn best when they try to find answers, then that is the reason why you do like this. So answer the question. You don't need to put inside here, but use them to develop your teaching portfolio. Thank you very much. Okay. Another one, I will try to avoid too much activities on live class. Okay, but we divert to Google Classroom, WhatsApp discussion, okay, unless we need spontaneous response. Asking the student to revise the unit beforehand is helping much. Okay, student will get bored if they too much on screen. Okay, so he will try to avoid online live classes. Maybe because based on the doctor's experience, it seems that the student cannot focus, okay, and this can be detrimental and ineffective towards the teaching and learning. So again, the doctor here also believes that student will get bored. So that means based on online classes, it's better to divert to making into various activities, okay, either to discussion, so on and so forth, to increase the effectiveness of the teaching. So this shows that you have understanding about student and you have empathy about student. You think about the student first, which is good, and not thinking about yourself. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, this is what I will do. I don't care how they respond, this is the thing. But you are focusing, you have empathy towards the student. You know that when you want to teach, student will feel bored. That means you have feelings, not loving feelings, intimidation, but you have the loving feelings of a teacher towards the students. You want them to learn at their best pace and situation. Okay, so you have what we call as you care about them. That is why, in order for you to avoid boredom among them, you try to diverse and having the student to use different platform. If I'm right, I hope I'm right by trying to interpret what you write here. Okay, but because through experience, I think you know, if you don't think about student, you don't be bothered about whether they are bored or not, because you have the thing that you want to do, you just go through. Okay, so you have this kind of empathy, you have this kind of concern toward the student. And this is one of the things that the values that you uphold. Okay, thinking about the student, how they learn, how best will they receive the knowledge, makes you try to create different try the student to use different platform. All right, thank you again for the response. Now we look in the chat. Dr. Intan says a big no to one-way communication. Yeah, why? Again, because Dr. Intan has mentioned earlier, he prefers to have engaging, fun and engaging, because she believes that student learns best when they interact with each other. So you can see the synergy or the alignment of your belief with what you don't want, you will never do. Okay, another one is Dr. Andrew. I will not lecture without any interaction or activities. Because just now, Dr. Andrew was mentioning, mind on, hands on. So they need to be a practical. Because of that, you can see the alignment of what he believes with what he will do and what he will never do. Okay, now that we'll go to our final question before we wrap up about the teaching philosophy, and how does this all this questioning assist in the development of teaching philosophy. And then we go to the final part, that is the question and answer session. Okay, the last question. Sharing number 5. Wait. Oh. Okay, now you have talked about your delivery. How are you going to teach? You understand, then you have your role as a teacher. What is your role? You know already. You have the things that you will never do. Okay, that means you are sharing with us your delivery. Now, the last one, how do you assess your student learning? Okay, what did you do? Okay, what are the approaches that you do that makes you know, okay, now the student learns, or the student are not learning, the student didn't get it. So what are the assessment? Assessment can be formative, okay? It can be summative, that you give grades, okay? Formative in the sense that you give feedback to them. So answer this. Okay, I give you maybe another 5 minutes. We go this very fast, and then we see the answers, and we discuss about it, and we wrap up about teaching philosophy. Okay, let me create this inside the chat. Sorry, inside the Padlet. Okay, now let us look at the answer. Share. Okay. We look at the Padlet first, then we go and see at the chat. Or maybe I look at the chat because there's one response from the chat. Okay, in this chat here, Dr. Dennis answered, responded that formative assessment, in-class quiz, okay, self-reflection, peer assessment, prompt feedbacks to the student. Okay, now you can see the alignment from here if you track. Thank you, Dr. Dennis, because you respond for each question. Now you can see here the alignment. He sees his role. If I browse through the okay. Now he sees himself as a facilitator, guide on site. See, you see the keyword here, facilitator and guide on site. And he also sees that teaching and learning should be diverse because why? Students are diverse. Okay, there's no one silver bullet. You cannot have only one approach that can fit into all. Besides, we have several courses, and these courses have their own skill sets, or course learning outcome that you need to address. So it's not static, it's not one size fits all. And then he sees that learning is an active process, unstructured and undisturbed. Okay, it should be unstructured because of the student, because of the course, the nature of the course. Okay, because of that. And then he sees that learning occurs when they do go to the field, they do hands-on, minds-on, okay, and they involve with a real practitioner, they see, and they are able to apply what they learn in the real world. As though like I'm preparing a teaching philosophy for Dr. Andrew. Well, it was okay, but you can see now but it's good that from the question, you see how the teaching philosophy was built up, okay, just by answering these five questions. And then, because of that, guide on site and facilitator, okay, and active learning, hands-on, minds-on, he will never give lectures, okay, throughout, in which they stay there for a long time listening and not doing anything. Okay, and because he is a facilitator and guide on site, he will also not leave the students without any guidance. Okay, so when he teach, because of the becoming a facilitator and guiding on site, you can see the alignment of how he assess the students' learning. He do a lot of formative assessment, okay, in-class quiz, self-reflection, in which I believe that based on this assessment, he can guide the student. Okay, as what he mentioned just now, by their side, not leaving them behind, to assist in their journey, okay, to acquire the knowledge and skills in his course. So this is what I can tell who Dr. Dennis is regarding teaching and learning. Okay, so based on my explanation, I hope participants can see how you can develop your teaching philosophy roughly. When I say roughly, because you need to again rearrange them back. But as I told you, teaching philosophy is about telling who you are as a teacher based on what you believe, okay, your approach, how do you assess your student, okay, and these 5 questions, by explaining about Dr. Dennis, we are able to construct a teaching philosophy for Dr. Dennis. Okay, so let us see about the others. Now, how do you assess your student learning? Now, we go and look into the Padlet here. A real case scenario and reflection. So again, answering why. You don't need to put it up here, but to assist you, answer why. And you can check back, like what I explained regarding Dr. Dennis. So does this align with what you see your role, what you conduct in the class, and how do you believe student learning? Because of that, you do this to address and to assess how much learning takes place among the student. Okay, the other one, another of our participants, give exercise to students after each topic and observe them answering the question, answering in the class, then ask them to teach their friend again. That means our doctor here is trying to build up the understanding of mastering or understanding about the topic. That's why after giving lectures or doing activity, our colleague here, our doctor here will give exercise because he or she wants to assess how much student understand about what has been learned. Okay, so this maybe relate to the values that you uphold, because you want to see, does the student understand what you are trying to teach? Okay, pre and post. Student may produce a draft practice for the real summative formative assessment. Instructors are to give feedbacks for them to improvise before the real assessment. Okay, that means you are trying to prepare the student. You're trying to track before this and after the activity. Okay, and as well as you are preparing them so that they can practice to prepare for them to answer. Maybe because you know that answering a question also needs a practice, because sometimes answering a question also can increase their communication skills in writing. Formative assessment. Summative assessment by assessing how they feel in the, okay, this is maybe your course, okay, hierarchy form. Okay, for those who actively participate in the hazard, okay, hazard activity. I believe that the one that you ask the student to take pictures, all right? So formative assessment for the activity. After they take a picture, I believe that you will give the feedback about are they taking the right situation or not, okay? And filling up the form. So this is where you give marks to see how they fill up the form. Okay. And for those who actively participate in the hazard activity, will provide good answer and could relate with the theory. Okay, thank you very much. So I hope that from here, you can see the question that we address is to assist you in digging up and reflect who you are as an educator. Okay, and I've given you example based on Dr. Dennis, how from answering this question, you develop your teaching philosophy. Okay. So any question regarding teaching philosophy before we go to our last part? Okay. And is everything currently okay? Or some of you might get confused regarding your teaching philosophy? Stop sharing this. I'm going to my third part. Okay. So the activities that you do, that you answer, that is what you will use to explain inside your teaching philosophy. Okay, what is your belief, your goals for students when conducting your teaching and learning, your role, and examples of how you deliver your lesson, and also how do you assess. So this is what is being put up inside your teaching philosophy. And again, there's no fixed format. You can start in a narrative form in a means of storytelling, but most important thing, people can see who you are, just like what I see, Dr. Dennis. Okay, I'm going to the last part now. Some of them, thank you very much for asking me questions. Okay, the last part is to answer some of the questions that are being asked. Along the line, please, please also, if you have any question, put up inside the chat or you can unmute. Okay, one of the things that you put in the teaching philosophy, once you have that, that is where you start to see what are the evidence that you can put up to support your philosophy and your activities. Now, I have 5 questions that I would like to answer regarding teaching portfolio. Number 1, can our teaching philosophy change? Okay, you have created your teaching philosophy. Should it be that is the one that you will retain throughout the rest of your career, or it can change? Well, the answer is yes, it can change. Your teaching philosophy can change. How? Now, take for example, when you start your journey, you have no background, you have no experience, you only have a certain perception. So based on that, you have a certain philosophy in your teaching. Along the line, based on your experience, after attending various training, you encounter several challenges, you encounter several skills, you acquire several skills, several knowledge that assist you in improving your teaching and learning. So you will see a transformation from previous approach, and now you are doing a different approach. So these changes in your different approach that you use may also lead to the implementation of different learning theories, okay, different belief. So as you progress, you can change your teaching philosophy, because again, teaching philosophy is regarding who you are as a teacher. So before this, it was like this. Now, after you have gained skills, knowledge, experience, your way of thinking is different, your way of approach is different, so your philosophy will change. Okay? Same as mine. I would like to share last time when I first started, I believe that the way we arrange what we are going to say is the best approach for the student to understand. Last time, I believe that by planning what you're going to talk, what you're going to teach, will assist student understanding. This is what my belief last time when I started my career. At that particular time, I did some active learning, active teaching, but most of the time I give lectures because I believe the student understand more. I was seeing myself as a content provider. But later on, when we attended classes, we attended trainings, and we experiment inside the class, and now we see that the role is different. So now, my philosophy compared to when I started my teaching in as a lecturer, I mean, in 2006, compared to 2010 until now, is totally different philosophy. My belief, my approach since 2010 and above is based on the training, the experience that I gained, and the approach, the effectiveness that I've seen compared to the previous one. Because during the previous time, you don't attend a lot of trainings regarding teaching and learning. So you're based on a certain belief. So again, yes, you can, your teaching philosophy can change. That is why we put there, documenting your journey as an educator. Now, question number 2, in preparing teaching philosophy, what about bad teaching? Okay, some of you mentioned that sometimes if you have a certain belief, because of that belief, you teach a certain way, but there is no improvement. But that is your philosophy. So is that a good one? Well, let me tell you again. When you write up a teaching portfolio and you prepare your teaching philosophy, there should be alignment with what you believe, what you do. You are able to prove that your approach improves student performance. If your belief, your approach, what you uphold and you implement does not bring any improvement, that is where a delineation or a boundary to show that you need to change, you need to improve yourself, you need to go for a training. Okay? Because teaching philosophy is the one that you uphold and you prove to people by having this, student improve. Take for example, you have some people who are very strict, they are very disciplined. Okay? Some of you would like to have fun in their learning. Okay? Playing around, having games, but this one is very strict. Student must, for example, come on time, 5 minutes earlier, sit down straight, no handphones allowed, only holding a pen and a book, for example, just to give you, just exaggerate to show 2 different things. But if the academician able to prove that my way of discipline the student have seen improvement in their behavior, in their preparedness for the real world, they improve the learning outcome achieved, then that is his or her philosophy, and he or she has proven that this is her way and it has proven effective for her own or for his own approach. Okay, it may not be applicable to others, but the most important thing, if you have a certain belief, certain values, certain approach, if that thing improves student performance, then that is who you are. Because teaching portfolio is about documenting evidence about who you are as a teacher and how your approach leads to student improvement. Okay? And you must understand that even students have different diverse ways of learning. You have the VARK, visual, auditory, read, write, and kinesthetic. If you look into COP's learning style, you have different, right? You have the theories, you have the one, some sort of practitioner, pragmatist. Okay. A lecturer also have a different teaching style. If you go into Grasha Reichman survey on a teaching style, there is 5 types of teaching style. So everybody is different. Most important thing is what you believe, what your philosophy, your approach has proven able to improve student learning. Okay? But if you have a belief, you have your approach, but it doesn't improve student learning, then that is a signal that you need to change and improve. Attend trainings, try to improve, change your way of approach to improve the student learning and attainment of the course learning outcome, intended course learning outcome. Okay, number 3, I don't have innovation. So how? Is it a bad thing? Well, as I said earlier, this is to document and reflect on your teaching and learning experience. For those of you who just started to embark in your journey, maybe you haven't have had any innovation in your teaching, but it's okay. Write it down what you have used your approach. But as you progress, remember, the portfolio is not static, okay? It is dynamic. As you progress your journey and you have improved your method, you have created a certain innovation, then you start to fill up, right? Remember, teaching portfolio generally has 2 major things. One, to document and to reflect on your teaching practice. The other one is for competition, award. But the major thing is focus on this one first, not on this. Because if you want to focus on this, there is another set of story. How you're going to write it, how to make it a wow factor. The way you write must be different. Okay? But now we are looking first into developing your teaching portfolio as to reflect on your teaching practices. Okay, number 4, how many pages? This one, there's no limit. It's up to you. But again, remember, this is not about compiling like a diary your daily activity. It is about compiling, summarizing selected approach, selected activities that reflects your role or who you are as a teacher. Okay, so it can be 50 pages, it can be 100. For those of you who just started to become a lecturer, you cannot expect to have 200 pages, right? Those who have been teaching for the past 25 years, maybe, and created a lot of innovative ways, they might have lots of evidence, a lot of things to tell. Then they can be a lot, but there is no restriction. Okay, the final part, can we tell about ourselves in the teaching portfolio? Yes, you can. Even though the topic, the 6 major topic doesn't have about that, yes, you can. You can tell a story about how did you start to embark as a lecturer. Or maybe some of you, before becoming a lecturer in UUM, you're already a teacher somewhere else, or you're maybe a lecturer at some college community. So you can make a summary about you, how you started teaching. Okay? Telling a story about that before putting all your points, content, and evidence for the other 6 topics. Okay? So I think that's about it. If there is no question, these are some of the questions that I collected, that I received after previous engagement with all of you on the 1st of March. Okay, so to wrap up and close this session, again, I'd like to highlight this. As you know, teaching portfolio is the heart teaching philosophy is the heart of your portfolio. By answering the question, you develop and you dig out and understand your belief, your values that you uphold, your role when you conduct your teaching and learning, your approach that you do, how do you assess your student. After you have finally have all these things, then you can start to collect and compile evidence to prove that. Okay, organize, identify your goals, beliefs, and approaches, and select and organize evidence. And these, to sum up, these are the evidences that you can collect. This one I have showed to all of you 2 weeks ago. The list of evidence that you can collect to portray and to align back to your what you mentioned in your philosophy, what you mentioned in other parts of the topic in the teaching portfolio. All right, so we have finished up this session. I hand it over to the Secretariat. Thank you very much, UTLC. Thank you very much, Director, Prof. Fauzia, and UTLC for inviting me. Thank you very much for all the participants who are with me until the end of this session. I really appreciate, and please do so. Contact me if you have any queries or question. I will be glad to assist. And after this, after we close, if there are any one of you who would like to share your teaching portfolio, right? Maybe I can wait a few more minutes to attend to you, right? But at the moment, with this, I end my session. Thank you very much again. Assalamualaikum and good day, everyone.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.